topics and opinions expressed in the following show are solely those of the host and their guests and not those of W4CY Radio, its employees, or affiliates. We make no recommendations or endorsements for radio show programs, services, or products mentioned on air or on our web. No liability, explicit or implied, shall be extended to W4CY Radio or its employees or affiliates. Any questions or comments should be directed to those show hosts. Thank you for choosing W4CY Radio.
Diversity Talk. I'm Wendy Stewart. I'm so happy to be here with you tonight. I'm looking a little pale on camera tonight. You know, the lighting, let me just tell you, this whole podcasting thing, the lighting, you just never know what you're getting half the time. But you know what? I just have to deal with it because I have this beautiful rainbow behind me. That's right. And I'm so glad it's spring. Today was finally a gorgeous day, although they're saying it's going to plummet tomorrow. But let's not think about tomorrow. Let's think about today. I have to share with all of you, I got a very cool award this weekend from the Purse Zimmerman Democrats located in Dingman's Ferry, Pennsylvania, an award for creating safe space, which was really very, very cool. Because I've been trying to create safe space for a very, very long time. And if you are in New York City this weekend, you can catch my performance with the Imperial Court of New York. We are doing a show called April in Paris. I will really be singing, though, in the show. I'm going to be doing a lip sync number, and the show will be at Industry Bar, which is one of my favorite gay bars in the city. It's just a great place to perform. They're all really nice. The bartenders are super friendly. So that is this Sunday at 5 o'clock. Doors open, and the show starts at 6. So my guest today, I actually met at an affair. We met at a gorgeous affair. It was Night of 1,000 Gowns with the Imperial Court of New York at a big fancy hotel, the Hilton. And my guest tonight was with someone who I love, just a great person and a great performer, Ermin Muff. And many of you probably heard of Ermin Muff. But anyway, I'm like, who is this new girl? I just totally adored her vibe. She's an all-American bigwig, busybody, and gay divorcee. Just love that. Living her best life on the New Jersey shore. She's inspired by Betty Hutton, an epic comic songstress of the 40s and 50s. She's a vintage girl. Betty serves up that vintage aesthetic and diverse repertoire of live vocals, old and new. So you know what? She's both old-fashioned and modern. And in addition to her drag persona, Betty, who is also known as Angus, is the president of the Atlantic Highlands Arts Council, a non-for-profit strengthening community through the arts. And Betty is certainly using her drag to help communicate the arts. Without further ado, please welcome the one and only Betty Buttonz. Yes.
Hello, darling.
Good evening, darling. How are you?
Oh, I'm wonderful. I'm coming to you live from Betty's boudoir. You may have noticed.
And I did. There's a lot of coordination. I do want to talk about that. I love what you're wearing. First of all, is that like wine sequins, wine color?
It is. It's this dress sort of came to me. It was a miracle. It just flew off the shelf. I won't even tell you. I can't disclose where it came from.
Did you steal it?
No, I don't tend to indulge in theft. But no, it's a great little sequin dress that I found in the most unusual of places. And I have to, and I'm looking at it right on a computer, and I just love the color wine. And then you have a number of ensembles behind you there. Yes, this is my workshop. This is Betty's boudoir, where I tend to be a vintage queen, as you know. So I love shopping the thrift stores and just trying different things and experimenting and figuring out what works visually, aesthetically, creatively.
Wow.
So,
Well, this is definitely a winner. Not to get personal, but what size are you?
oh, well, we're going right there, are we, Wendy?
I'm going to tell you why. Mama has a reason. What size are you?
I'm typically a 14. That's kind of
Okay.
my comfort zone.
So if you should come and visit us, I have a reason for asking. I'm a sensible girl, and I want all my guests to really feel comfortable and know that they may get something out of knowing me. We have an amazing store called The Phoenix in Dingman's Ferry, not far from New Jersey. And I ask you your size because we have a ton of vintage there in size 14, girl. It's sequined. It's great. It's gorgeous. And we're having a fashion show there in June. So I want you to make sure you stay in touch with me because I want you to come. You talk to Kay Gorgeous. She'll tell you the clothes are to die for.
Fantastic. Count me in. I love a good sale.
I know.
Me too. Sale, a thrift shop sale, a garage sale, you name it.
Yeah, you know what? You are a girl after my own heart. And I was also asking because I actually have a ton of vintage that I don't wear because it cuts around the arms. You know how those sequins can cut around the underarm when it's sleeveless. And, we all say beauty knows no pain, but I've been in pain. So I'm getting rid of a bunch of things but they're all size 8. So I just have to find, maybe one of my listeners would like them.
I don't think there's any diet out there that will get me into one of your gowns, Wendy, but one can dream.
One can only dream, but you were looking particularly gorgeous tonight. I saw you at Night of 1,000 Gowns. Now, that was your very first time attending?
That was my first exposure to the court. Yes, Ermin Muff, my drag mother, who I have dragged out of retirement.
I'm very happy that you did that, by the way.
Isn't it lovely? I mean, I just feel like Ermin has so much to share with the world, and I was basically a motherless child and said, Ermin, I think you're my mother. I mean, it just, we share a lot of the same vintage sensibilities. And she wanted me to experience an event with the court, and it was magical. I just had such a divine time.
Well, that makes me happy. And Betty, if you're available on Sunday, I'd love to see you at April in Paris at Industry Bar. If you can make it, doors open at 5 and the show starts at 6. And it would really give you a great chance to mix and mingle, because isn't that what we're all about at the end of the day, mixing and mingling?
It was a magical evening, and I definitely look forward to, getting to know more of the court. And I mean, the combination of philanthropy and doing good in the world and just having a marvelous time at it, being fun, being silly, being creative, getting in touch with your inner child, making friends, just loving life while actually helping the world. It's just a beautiful concept.
Right. Isn't that great? Don't we wish more people would follow it? But that's why we're here, to do what it is that we do. Now, how long have you been performing drag for?
So I was doing the math, and I am a baby drag queen. I've only been at this for about 6 months.
Oh my God, you are.
It's but I have been bitten by the bug. I just dove right in. It felt like the right time, the right place, a lot of different stars aligning, and Betty was born, and here I am, and trying to take New Jersey and the tri-state area by storm, because Betty's got things to say and songs to sing and love to share. So here I am.
So here you are now. You were only born into drag 6 months ago. How did Ermin Muff become your drag mother?
Well, Ermin and I met at a party years ago, and I thought that Mark was fabulous, and we talked about drag, and I'd always been, I would say drag adjacent, creative, silly, kind of so many things about drag were already part of my life, I would say. And I just sort of, filed it away and thought, if I ever do get around to taking this a little bit more seriously and giving drag a shot, I'm going to call Ermin, because there was a lovely connection there. And Ermin did say, look, if you ever do drag, please get in touch. And so actually after my first or second time going out, I did reach back out to Irma, and we stayed loosely in touch, and just it was a wonderful fit. She's been a lovely, incredible mentor, and as I said, we just share a lot of the same sensibilities creatively, and that's been really fun.
Oh my God. And I didn't even know Irma's real name was Mark, because because when I meet people in drag, that's how they stay forevermore.
Right.
Like
right.
I would walk right past you in the street if you weren't in drag, and then you would say, "Hey, Wendy, it's me." And I would say, "Who are you?"
It's one of the most magical parts, I think, of drag.
Right?
Is that transformation. And I have loved since Betty was born, sort of bringing Betty into a space, and then in another context, maybe meeting someone as Angus, and the reactions are so fun and delightful. And usually you have to inform someone, "Oh, I'm Betty," and just watch the jaw drop. It's just a delightful part of the process of creating a character.
See, I love that we're getting you at the very beginning of this. I met Kay Gorgeous at her very first performance. Very first. And I knew that night I was with all the people. I'm like, this one, she totally had it. Like she had been doing it forever. And she had only ever practiced. It was really great. So I get the same vibe about you. You have this amazing voice too. Now, where did this voice come from?
Oh, thank you, darling. First, let me just give a shout out to Kay. I mean, I'm such a fangirl. And Kay was one of the queens that I met I think maybe the second time I went out in drag, and was so wonderfully warm and welcoming and supportive, and is just truly one of the most talented queens I've encountered. So unique
and funny. She's really so funny. She does funny moves, and we did an outside event, and she climbed a tree, and I'm like, I've never in my life seen it. She uses the fact that she's athletic. She does.
Yes. She makes me ache with laughter, and
I know. So funny.
Has this incredible chemistry with Lexi Pro. Kay Gorgeous and Lexi Pro have their weekly show on Tuesday nights at 244 in the Amboys, and the two of them are just so incredible. Both fairly recent at this, but such seasoned veterans and incredible entertainers, and have been so warm and welcoming of Betty, and just a real shout out to both of them, because they inspire me, and they're creating community in a beautiful way that has been lovely to be part of in this short journey thus far.
Right. Thus far. Something just popped up on my screen. I don't know why these things happen. Anyway, getting back to you, how did you learn to sing so well?
Oh, I just love to sing. I've always loved singing. I was in choirs as a kid, and then life sort of took me in different directions, serious, demanding jobs that didn't really allow for time to make music or do much creatively, and I think it's important to just sing. I think everyone should sing. Singing is so good for you. It's healthy, and then you don't have to be good at it to enjoy it. And
well, because it's such a creative thing that comes from deep inside and connects with emotion. Now, were you like a musical theater major in college?
No, I did a little bit of college theater, but I sort of went in a very practical direction in college and in my career, and the creative side was in some ways kind of put on the back burner. Always loved to sing casually, grew up in a family that loved to have sing-alongs around the kitchen table. My grandmother, who passed away a few years ago and was one of my best friends, just always insisted when we were together that we would sing. I have Irish, Scottish background, that kind of Celtic tradition.
Same as mine.
Just, singing for the love of it, for sharing stories, for sharing a laugh, having a drink, and enjoying music. And so it's always been part of me, but this has been really exciting to sort of bring that onto a stage and to be performing, and realizing that for me as a drag queen, that's a big component of what I have to offer is live vocals and introducing often a younger audience to to older material that they may not know, and that's quite a magical thing as well.
Well, yeah, because that, like, your whole persona, your character is the whole vintage thing. There's not a ton of that out there. There are, however, more and more, of course, drag performers that actually sing incredibly. My dear friend Sherry Vine was one of the first singing drag queens. And I remember when she came on the scene and everybody else lip sank, and they're like, oh my God, she sings. Yes, she does. And I think that is a really great gift to have, the gift of the voice, the live voice. What is it about vintage tunes that you love so much?
Well, I think there's just something innate about Betty that is vintage, and it's a really cosmic process to create a character, and in some ways she's being created, or she's creating me, and there's, if you sort of lean into that almost spiritual experience of listening to, who is this that's kind of coming on the scene, and it was just very clear, I think, for many reasons, one of which being that I myself am a little vintage, with certain vintage coming into this world, frankly, in middle age. The vintage look and feel and vibe was the right fit, but it also just was sort of the authentic kind of creative calling that I had in bringing Betty into the world. And you mentioned Betty Hutton.
Yes.
Betty Buttonz as a name really kind of was an homage to an incredible entertainer who I can't aspire to mimicking, but I honor her because I think she was an incredible talent, just a comic genius, beautiful voice, incredible dancer, physical comic, had this incredibly loving persona underneath the comic clown, but was a clown in many ways. And I think the best drag queens are clowns.
Oh my God, absolutely. They entertain, they make the audience laugh. Absolutely.
So that's where that vintage kind of theme and vibe has emerged from. And I'm
Betty, how did you discover Betty Hutton? I know who Betty Hutton is, but if I go out on the street and ask, non-drag queens or drag queens, most people won't know who Betty Hutton is. So what is it that had you make this discovery?
I love that question. And I love that you asked that, Wendy, because I think that Betty Hutton in some ways is this hidden gem, or this forgotten gem of Hollywood and Broadway, and was so unique and so dynamic in her talent, and had such an interesting life story, often quite tragic. But I think I came across her, frankly, in my late teens or early 20s, rifling through old VHS videos, classic movies, probably also from a garage sale.
Yeah, that's great, right?
And found one of her films, which I would just, everyone, run, don't walk, go find this movie, called The Perils of Pauline. And, it's an incredible display of her talent as a singer, as an actress, as an incredible comedian, a physical comic, a dancer. And it's just this fabulous, campy film that just, I would ache with laughter, and I enjoyed with family, actually. And just kind of fell in love with Betty Hutton. And who was this? How had I never heard of her? How did she get hidden away? How has she been forgotten? Because she truly was one of a kind.
But you know what I love? That you decided to shine a light on somebody like that you realized how special, because too often, especially people from those eras, are forgotten. And here you are, you've taken this little piece of history, somebody that you think is just totally magical, and you're bringing it to the stage. And, when you come out as Betty Buttonz and people ask you about the name, and then you can start to talk about Betty Hutton, isn't that great to play homage to somebody like that,
I love to imagine meeting Betty Hutton in some imaginary world or in heaven, and I'd like to think
heaven. That's so funny. a heaven meetup. You'd be
I'd like to think that she would approve. I have a feeling that, the comedy of drag would appeal to her sensibilities.
right.
But it is really, truly an homage to someone who I think was underappreciated. And it is a lovely opportunity to say, oh, have you ever heard of Betty Hutton? That's the inspiration behind at least my name. I'm not trying to impersonate her. She's one of a kind.
Absolutely not. But she inspires.
Yes, indeed. And she had such a journey. I mean, she was an it girl, and I think a lot of incredible musical talent loved to write for her because she just had a way of taking a song and that was already funny on paper and just bringing it to life as a clown. But then she had her years in the wilderness as well, and was kind of quite down and out and found her way back into the limelight. But also, I think earned a degree in psychology, was a teacher.
A dynamic person. See, I knew about the Paris of Pauline, but I didn't know this, I didn't know her low period. What created a low period for Betty Hutton?
I think it was mental health. I think, she had a truly, unimaginably terrible childhood. She was raised by a single mother who was a bootlegger in the Depression to make ends meet. And I think one of the stories is how her mother, I think, was being physically assaulted, and she interrupted and distracted by entertaining, singing a song, doing a dance. Like it was that kind of just tragic upbringing.
As a child, this child had to do
as almost an infant, she was, and trying to keep her mother's clients from getting violent by, knowing when to burst into a song, make someone laugh, right? Just that kind of, the demons that would follow someone like that, as they reach the heights of fame. You can only imagine.
Eddie, that's where the comedy comes from.
Yes.
It's the tragedy that produces the comedy.
Yes. And I think that's where also maybe an affinity with kind of the drag, because there's such an incredible therapeutic, powerful, healing agency that I think drag queens who stand in their power can bring, right? Because they're bringing laughter and joy to audiences who often have had really hard times or who are often not accepted for who they are. And to tap into that, on some deep level is really powerful.
How do you feel about, because you're so new at drag, so I'm going to throw this one at you. How do you feel about the fact that because of RuPaul, and I knew Ru in the day, and I love Ru, but Ru has made drag really mainstream. I mean, you go to these big drag conventions or drag shows, and the audience is, of course, just a general audience. It is mainstream. How do you feel about that?
Ooh, now that's a delicate one, Wendy.
I know, but Wendy has all kinds of questions. Because my personal thing, I think for things to be supported, they had to become bigger. However, we are in other parts of the country, a very anti-drag, anti-everything. Okay, so now how do we deal with this when it's become mainstream, right?
Yes.
That in straight bars, they're loving RuPaul's Drag Race.
Yes. Yeah.
How do we deal with this now? Is it good that it's mainstream?
Absolutely. I mean, it's so complex, and with so much respect to Mama Ru for lifting up drag as an art form and launching careers and creating financial opportunities, I think probably for a lot of queens, and doing something really interesting. But I think it's what I've loved in my hot minute as a drag queen, but hopefully it will be a long career because I love it, and I'm so enjoying the experience of sharing Betty with audiences, is that there's something so much more profound and political and creative that exists at the community level that is very different from, as you said, straight folks watching an incredibly well-produced television program, right? That's
Right.
disconnected from that community
Right.
sometimes. And I think we need both, frankly. You know, there's been a lot of kind of mainstreaming and making drag perhaps better understood in some ways by larger parts of the population in ways that maybe helps create more safe space for that important community drag that needs to continue and is quite different.
Right.
I mean, for me, it's really all about that community element, but the politics of it are also really concerning, and I think that's what got me off the bench after contemplating, maybe I should give drag a try. It's really the changing climate politically and this
There you
pushback
go.
against drag queens that I
Right.
thought that's it. I can't sit on the sidelines. It's
Right.
time to put on a wig and heels and learn how to paint face and
That's
get
right.
out there. And that really has been a huge motivation for me to do this. And one thing,
We're lucky that we're in the part of a country, right, where we're okay. We're not worried about going to a gig or, being our authentic selves, right? New York and New Jersey. There's some parts of Pennsylvania that I would not venture into as a drag queen. But the Northeast in general is more of a safe space than other places where they're actually attempting to take drag and ban it. And I don't have to tell you about the drag story hour bannings. That seems to have died down. I don't even know what's up with that, but the banning of drag story hour seems to have died down, or it's not in the news as much either because I follow all of that. So I don't know what that is.
I mean, I think a lot of the attempts through legislation to eliminate drag queens are just not possible to hold up in law. It's just not constitutional. Right. But it is alarming that there are many jurisdictions in this country where it's not possible to do what we do in New Jersey or New York or Pennsylvania.
No, this is the God's honest truth, right?
And, it's the kind of thing that keeps me up at night thinking about the fact that that's such a convenient way for conservatives to scapegoat, to distract, to get people angry about stuff.
But that's what it is.
Diversion.
It's a scapegoat. It's a distraction. Right.
From their many flaws and from their many shortcomings that they're not willing to account for, and pitting one group of people who are marginalized and oppressed against another group. It's the oldest playbook, unfortunately, and we have to stand up. And yes, we're lucky that we live in a part of the country where we have some degree of safety and comfort, but we then actually owe it to our sisters and brothers in other places in this country and elsewhere in the world that don't have that security to speak up. And one thing I'm really excited about is that Betty will be hosting a sign making party on May 7th at Paradise nightclub in Asbury Park.
Oh, I know where Paradise is. Oh, fabulous.
Yes, because Asbury Park has declared May 7th Day of Drag Visibility. And this is the second annual Day of Drag Visibility in Asbury Park. And this was something that activists brought to the city council saying, look, we're lucky that we live in this town that celebrates diversity, but we need to take a stand and offer solidarity and support to others who don't have that safety and security, and to really celebrate that visibility. So I hope people will come and make signs with Betty, and then we're going to drag the boards. We're going to walk the boardwalk and just really celebrate that we're here, we're queer, we're drag queens. We are an important part of the community. We make space for people to feel safe, to be themselves, to express themselves. And we want that to be the case everywhere in this country and in the world.
Absolutely. And this is on May 7th. This
is on May 7th at Paradise. Yes.
Oh, hey, totally fabulous. How did I not know this? Unless I get so many emails. Maybe I did know this and I didn't mark it down because I'm not in Asbury Park, although I know a ton of people down there that are. And have you been performing in Asbury Park? Are you going to perform there?
Yes. So, I mean, I am, as I said, a baby queen, and I'm humbled, truly humbled by the incredible talent out there. There are so many wonderful professional queens that I'm watching in awe and learning from, and but I'm getting out there. Betty is definitely performing. I'm a regular on Monday nights at Paradise in Asbury. We have a fabulous weekly event called Drag Wars, hosted by the fabulous Ms. Seymour Cox, and Seymour has been hosting this night for many years, and it's a very welcoming space for new performers, new queens on the scene to to get their sea legs and to be finding community, and the show is week over week. I mean, it's also kind of an incredible space because people feel comfortable trying new things, experimenting with new routines, bringing numbers that might not be kind of the Friday night mainline content, but are hellishly funny or incredibly creative. So Betty spends a lot of Monday nights at Paradise for Drag Wars, and folks should come out. We always have a great time, and really props to Seymour for creating that space, that community space, and lifting up.
Well, Betty, we're talking about all this performing. Let's show the video.
Sure.
Where was the video done?
So this was at Drag Wars on a Monday night recently at Paradise in Asbury Park. And what's great is Seymour is very supportive of Betty's live vocals, and this is a number I did. It's actually, what's fabulous about this number is it was originally a Betty Hutton song that then was popularized by Bette Midler in the movie For the Boys.
Right.
And a lot of people know it as a Bette Midler song, and Bette Midler is also one of my most cherished inspirations. And
I love Midler. Between
Bette and Betty and this Betty is very special. So thank you for giving us the chance to watch the clip.
God. Okay, Juan, roll the video, please.
Oh, she's singing live. This one's from our family service. I was alone on a shelf in a world by myself. Oh, where could my Prince Charming be? When a man came along, made my life like a song, and taught me these words of ecstasy tenderly. I want some hugging and some squeezing and some hugging and some teasing and some stuff like that there. I want some petting and some spooning and some happy honeymooning and some stuff like that there. Yeah! I used to think that love was just about a rubbing. That's a cabbage, that's a cabbage. Now my attitude is only lovey-dovey. Baby, you've done it. I want some kissing and some hoping and some missing and some hoping and some stuff like that there. I want some weeping and some chasing and some leaping and some pacing and some stuff like that there. When I get a certain feeling, I confess it. There's really only one expression to express it. I want some hugging, squeezing, mugging, and cheesing, and some stuff like that there. Think romance was fun, a double Mickey for the icky, but all at once my heart was sung. Baby, you've done it. I want some hugging, some squeezing, some mugging, and some teasing, and some stuff like that, baby. I want some weeping and some chasing and some leaping and some pacing and some stuff like that there. But when I get a certain feeling, I confess it. There's really only one expression to express it. I want some hugging, squeezing, mugging, and cheesing, and some stuff like that there.
Wow. Well, you were certainly popular. They were hooping and a hollering, and the dollar bills were flying. Great song for you.
It's a really fun number. And there's just so much more in the Betty Hutton vault that I'm looking forward to bringing out and sharing with people. So many wonderful gems.
Well, I think there's so many wonderful gems, and what you're doing is you're setting yourself apart from everybody else, which, you know what? You know the song, You Gotta Have a Gimmick. This is yours, you know?
Right. You've got to find your lane, but it has to be sincere and authentic for it to work.
Right, exactly. But you got it all going on. I love the hair and the dress, and you definitely have got to come to this fashion show that we're doing. It's a gender bender fashion show. I produce it, and we'll be in touch because there's going to be a ton of clothes there that will really suit you. And let's face it, we girls always need to expand our wardrobes, especially with vintage.
That's
so
right.
you have, combined like the fact that you are doing all this great drag, and you're also the president of the Atlantic Highlands Art Council.
Yes. I'm super passionate about this wonderful organization that I have the honor of being the president of, Atlantic Highlands Arts. I moved to Atlantic Highlands during the pandemic. Actually, I was married at the time, so the gay divorcee part of the Betty bio is true to form, and the emergence of Betty as a drag queen is, as many drag queens will say, in some ways part of my recovery from the painful end of a relationship.
Right.
And moved to this town, having been in Manhattan and Brooklyn for many years before that. Not certain what to expect, and I really didn't know the area.
It's beautiful. It's a beautiful area.
Gorgeous town full of beautiful old Victorian houses on Raritan Bay. It's sort of the northern tip of the Jersey Shore, quaint and beautiful, but also, without really much in the way of connections to the place. I didn't know what it would be like, to relocate from the city. But I saw that there was this arts council, really dynamic, seemingly from the outside looking in, community that has this beautiful storefront gallery on the main street of our town. And I thought, okay, well, I'll find my tribe in this place. If they've
Absolutely.
got this kind of a dynamic little arts community for a town, a borough of 4,000 or 5,000 people, it's really noteworthy. And sure enough, I found my place there. And fast forward, now I'm the president and just really proudly promoting it as a very important creative heartbeat for our small town that strengthens our community through the arts in a lot of really interesting ways. And increasingly,
I think it's terrific that you're doing this. So this is a non-for-profit, all volunteer.
It's entirely volunteer run. And also that's, really inspiring to me that there are so many different heavy lifters who are so committed to having a space that brings creatives together, that lifts up art in so many different varieties. But it takes a lot of work for us to, raise the money to keep the space open, our beautiful gallery space, and run our programming, trying to be as inclusive as possible. My mission is to really try to ensure that we're bringing diversity and including and lifting up, a diverse range of different artists, and partnering with different community groups. And it's truly a magical, wonderful thing. And it's been also this platform for Betty that has been just delightful and truly humbling. The support and the warm response when I brought Betty into the world. We've now had 2 sold out shows in the gallery space, drag shows.
I was going to ask about that.
Yeah, I was just blown away by the community response. I thought, why don't we give this a shot? So we did a Valentine's Day we called it a Valentine's spectacle. Sort of a cabaret show about, the exhilarating highs, the humiliating lows of love. And I sang a bunch of different love songs, or songs that people might not think of as love songs that had some romantic meaning for me and for Betty. And we had people lined up around the door. We sold out. There was a little bit of anxiety, I think, on my part and on the part of some of my board and volunteers around us being so public about bringing drag into the community.
Well, very blatant about bringing drag in, but here we go again. Can drag be mainstreamed? Yes, it can. I mean, I'm sure your audience was diverse.
It was diverse.
Right.
And a lot of people were experiencing their first drag show. And Betty's variety of drag is very different from, say, what you might experience at a bar on a Friday night. But I think it's really thrilling to be bringing drag to new audiences and welcoming them in and realizing it's a big tent. There's space for everyone.
Exactly. There's absolutely space for everyone. Yeah, there is.
And I think drag at its best makes everyone feel, more comfortable to be their more authentic self, to let their light shine, to bring people out and lift them up and give them joy and laughter and let their freak flag fly, so to speak, is part of the magic.
So you're having colors of courage.
Colors of courage. Yes.
May 18th through June 20th. What's that about? You have a poster for that.
Yes, we do.
I think you see the poster. Here comes the poster. It's coming. I can feel it.
So this is hot off the press. Just thrilled to be working with Raphael Coelho and the Out Agency, partnering with us on a program that will, span from May into Pride Month, including Juneteenth, and will be a real celebration of artists, BIPOC, artists of color, and queer artists and their experiences, celebrating joy and resilience and courage, and really bringing a group of diverse artists into our gallery space and having a ton of different programming that then celebrates that. Everything from Betty's next big drag production on June 15th, which will include actually the screening of a fabulous film that Raphael made with Monet Exchange.
Oh my gosh, that's so great.
Yeah, so that will be a really exciting night. Multimedia, so drag, there'll be live vocals, there'll be screening of this fabulous film that Raphael made with Monet. There'll be a DJ. My sister queen, Aya Velasquez, who's this fabulous French queen, Kay Gorgeous's drag daughter, actually is going to co-host with me, and she's a DJ, so we'll dance the night away. So that's one exciting thing. We'll have a Juneteenth program where we're going to really be doing some interesting dynamic community building.
Right, and call attention to Juneteenth.
Yes. And celebrating it and also using it as a learning opportunity, because, there is a lot to be done in this small town and other communities to address, frankly, racism and encourage people to understand and educate themselves about, the racism that sort of quietly exists that we like to think doesn't exist.
Oh, no, we know that it exists, and it's not so quiet. Believe me.
It's not so quiet. No.
It's so quiet. I love what you're doing.
So it's going to be a great month, and I'm just thrilled to be partnering with Raphael and the Arts Council to be able to bring these kinds of programs to our community and just diversify the range of artists that we're lifting up as we continue to strengthen community through creativity.
Well, and the kind of space that you're creating for people to be creative in, my gosh. And you've been doing this how long, Betty?
So I took on the presidency last summer, and but I started volunteering when I moved here 4 years ago, and just felt so drawn to this organization and its mission.
And you weren't even doing drag 4 years ago. So I'm putting two and two together, and I can't help but think the wind beneath your wings or underneath your stilettos had to be working with this organization and how it made you feel about yourself, and then what you wanted to share with the world.
That is so astute, Wendy. I mean, I think that this organization, as I was going through a really painful divorce, also just embraced me and
right.
And life goes on, and I'm happy, and life is wonderful, and it's incredible the way art can heal. And this community really did embrace me, and frankly, encourage me to step up and to take on a leadership role. I'm really so honored. I'm sort of a figurehead. I have, irons in the fire and a demanding day job, but I do really feel like I'm in the right place at the right time, helping.
Well, you're so passionate as you talk about it. I can tell that this is everything, and I love what you're doing with it, and I love how you're affecting the town that you're in and the people that get involved. You're making a huge difference because of this, which is great. And keep giving those drag shows there. Are you all doing like sip and paints? I think those are the best.
I mean, we do a wide variety of programs. I mean,
tell me some of the programs you're doing.
Yeah, so we one of the things that I'm really proud of is that we run free kids programming every summer. So we're gearing up to do several weeks of free programming, arts programming for kids. Again, trying to make sure that we're offering inclusive, accessible opportunities. We do classes. We also are the sponsor of an annual film festival in Atlantic Highlands called Film One Fest.
Wow.
And it's short films, 1 to 3 minutes. It started as just 1 minute films, and we're a little bit flexible, but they're short films from all around the world.
Right.
Every July in the harbor in our town, we have this wonderful night under the stars where we take in, hundreds of beautiful short films from around the world. And so that's a big anchor of the work of the Arts Council.
I think that's absolutely brilliant to offer something like that.
We're having an event on April 27th, actually at the cinema in our town, Smod Castle Cinemas, which is owned by Kevin Smith, who grew up in this area and bought the movie theater that was struggling to stay afloat and has brought all kinds of interesting programming. They're hosting us for a night of the best of Film One Fest because we've got 15 years of incredible material. We're going to go down memory lane and show some of the best short films that we've featured.
Best of the best shorts. Wow.
Wild, Weird, Wacky, and Wonderful is the title of the night. So April 27th, if anyone wants to come down to Atlantic Highlands, we're going to have a great time.
I totally love what's going on there. And we only have a minute left. Oh my God, Betty, where did the time go?
Oh, I had a ball with you, Wendy. Thank you so much for having me.
At you, sister. What do you want to tell everybody out there in your last minute?
Oh, just be true to yourself. It's never too late.
Right.
Let your light shine, and spread love and joy in the world. We need it.
Right. And I'm right there with you. I want to thank you so much for everything that you shared here tonight. I learned a ton about you, and I have I'm going to separately contact you because I have a organization in New Jersey that partners that you would be able to really do incredible stuff with. That's what it's all about, right? All of us coming together and working with each other. Well, Betty, continue being fabulous. All right.
Wendy, love you.
Doing your Monday nights, but I also want to see you like in other places in Jersey with Kay Gorgeous, and maybe you can get a little closer to Milford, Pennsylvania. We are due to do some more stuff there, and upstate New York. All of our drag queens work the tri-state area.
Fabulous. Count me in.
Count you in. Thank you for being on the show. And thank you for everybody who tuned in tonight. See you next week. Bye-bye.